Not bad.
Our leaders don't need to apologize for American values. They should be projecting them.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Woo-ah. Yeah. Proud to stand before you today as a life member of the National Rifle Association and a lifelong defender of the Second Amendment. You know, we Texans kind of have a love affair with freedom. Dates back to the early 1800s. In 1835, the Mexican government told a few freedom fighters in the city of Gonzales that they wanted their cannon back. And the Texans had a simple message for them: come and take it. So today, when Washington asked Texans to give up their freedoms in exchange for federal money, we got the same message: come and take it. We happen to believe that human liberty is the gift of God and the guarantee of our Constitution. We do not believe the Constitution is a cafeteria plan. You don't just get to pick and choose the rights you like and discard the ones that are inconvenient to your political agenda. Every word in the Bill of Rights is sacred, and that includes the First, the Second, and the 10th Amendment. As Americans, we have the right to speak our minds, and we have the right to defend our families and our property. And that is exactly why I signed the Castle Doctrine into law, ensuring that Texans can defend their homes. Time and time again, I defended Texans' rights, and I defended that Second Amendment right as governor, extending the length of time of a concealed handgun license, for example, allowing our citizens to carry in 40 other states, and cutting in half the cost of a CHL license for our military veterans. As the former governor of the state of Texas, that I might add has created more jobs than any other state in the nation, I hung out the open for business sign for gun manufacturers, those that have been targeted by the liberal leaders in other states. And we were pretty successful. We brought to Texas Colt competition, Mossberg, and Magpul. You know, there are two types of thinking in American politics today. You got the delusional thinking of the left, that's epitomized by our president, where criminals will obey gun laws, where terrorist nations will put down their arms to obey a nuclear agreement, where radical groups like ISIS are not religious in nature. Now, the rest of us subscribe to reality-based thinking, where terrorist regimes must be defeated by strength, not words. Where radical nations should not be appeased but should be opposed, where the best defense against crime is an armed citizenry. It's time to tell the American people the truth. The Obama administration is isolating our allies, and it's emboldening our enemies. This agreement with Iran doesn't limit Iranian nuclear ambitions, it legitimizes it. There are great lessons in history, and that lesson is that strength and resolve bring peace and order, and that weakness and vacillation invite chaos and conflict. You know, for much of the last 75 years, there was this bipartisan consensus that America must project its values and its power, engage its allies and its competitors, and confront our adversaries. We cannot take for granted American power and American influence. Ronald Reagan said once that freedom is never more than one generation from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. That's the great challenge of our time. The great challenge of our time is a battle between the Western values of freedom and the totalitarian worldview of Islamic fanatics. We are in the early stages of a long struggle with violent Islamic extremists that it's going to last for years. And we must display the same resolve to defeat them as we did Soviet communism. And we must also recognize that homeland security starts with border security. Right? Yes, sir. I told the President last summer, if you won't secure the border, Texas will. And that's exactly what we did. I deployed the Texas National Guard to the border to stop the gun running and the drug trafficking by the drug cartels and the transnational gangs. And the strategy worked. Border apprehension declined by 74%. It is time for Washington to do its duty, to deploy the resources needed to secure our border, rebuild our military, reassert American power abroad. We need economic growth at home. The fact is, we can't accept 1 in 10 American workers that's unemployed, underemployed, or just too discouraged to even look for work. We cannot accept that 1 in 5 children in American families are on food stamps. It's time to revive the American economy, to cut corporate taxes, to bring those jobs back home from overseas, to stop the overregulation of small business, and to bring prosperity to Main Street and not just Wall Street. Friends, the issue of our time is not our failed foreign policy. It's not the hollowing out of our military. It's not our porous border or the slowest economic recovery on record. The issue is the lack of leadership to deal with these crises. "2016 will not be an election about lofty rhetoric, but it's going to be about a record of leadership. It's going to be a show me, don't tell me election, where voters will look past what you say to what you've done. They want a leader with firm resolve, a leader who says what he means and means what he says. Now, it might surprise a few of you, but I've been thinking about 2016 a little. And if I run, I'm going to put my record up against any competitor out there. Under my leadership in Texas, we had 14 years of balanced budgets without ever skipping a debt payment, passed the largest tax cut in state history, and created nearly 1/3 of all the new jobs in this country. We dealt with crisis after crisis. We had Hurricane Katrina, Rita, Ike, the disintegration of the space shuttle, the diagnosis of Ebola in a Dallas hospital, and the crisis that you all saw on our border. And the fact is, nobody handed me a manual and said, here's how you handle tens of thousands of your neighbors fleeing Hurricane Katrina. Nobody handed me the here's how-to manual on dealing with Ebola, or for that matter, handling the tens of thousands of those Central American children that showed up on our border. But we met those challenges and many more. If America is to lead the world again, we need that kind of leadership in the White House. I happen to believe with all my heart the best days of America are in front of us. I believe we're just a few good decisions away from reviving our economy, from rebuilding our military, and restoring our place in the world. There is nothing wrong with America today that cannot be fixed with new leadership. You know, when the historians look back at this era, let them remark that a group of patriots rose up in the challenge of our time, that we did not flinch in the face of threats to freedom, and that we let the American people dream again, that we stood on the bedrock of constitutional principle, and we protected the liberty guaranteed to every American. Let's get to work and make America great again. God bless you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.